And I want to start with this one because I feel like absolute must win, and it's not easy. They put themselves in this position. But Ole Miss is going to South Carolina. We don't quite know what South Carolina is, but they certainly have the ability, as they showed against LSU and have showed at times this season, to be pretty tough. And for this big hyped Ole Miss season, playoff season, host a game, contend for the SEC, Lane Kiffin, bellow the ball down in Gainesville, everybody wants them. After the Kentucky game, this now becomes not just for a playoff chase because they have tougher games ahead, but where are we? How much does Lane Kiffin and the Rebels need to win on Saturday in a place that isn't easy to win, Pat?
Oh, this is a fascinating one. I agree that, yes, there's a lot of pressure on Ole Miss to get right. And that's the problem in the SEC. You drop a home game that a lot of people thought you were supposed to win to Kentucky, and you're up against it because the rest of the schedule's murder. So Shane Beamer, home dog, scary, very scary. Lenora Sellers, quarterback, who absolutely lit up a couple of teams early, who was out injured, and he's back, according to the depth chart that Beamer released this week. So South Carolina they are very dangerous in this spot, I think. The game against LSU, you could make a case they could have, should have won. They had a 100-yard pick six called back, lost by 3 points in a wild game. Oof, that's a tough one. But if you're Mississippi, you better be ready. You cannot come out and stagger around like you did against Kentucky, or you're going to lose again. And then after that, you're at LSU, and you got Oklahoma, and you got Georgia still. So, yes, this is a massive game for Ole Miss.
Yeah, and we obviously in the expanded playoff era. I mean, I think everybody expects, given the recruiting haul and the NIL stuff with Ole Miss, for them to be in the playoff. I think even their fan base, would definitely say that it was playoff or bust this year. And if you lose two out of your first 6 games, given the schedule, as Pat mentioned, it's going to be really hard. I mean, even at 10-2, right? If you win out after losing this one, you might not be in the playoff. So this looms really large. And I spent time. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. Spent time with the Ole Miss folks and the collective folks and the NIL people when they played at Wake Forest, and kind of followed them around and stuff. And I mean, let's just say that the expectation was not to lose to Kentucky. I mean, I think most of their fears were October 12th at LSU in Tiger Stadium. And there was an expectation that, hey, we can get to 6-0 there, and then that's a big game. And boom, they lose Kentucky. And now, as Dan said, this South Carolina, speaking of LSU, right? We saw South Carolina probably should have beat LSU, outplayed them for most of the game. So this does feel like a really big game for Ole Miss to keep its hopes alive for, again, what I think was the expectation level entering the season, which was to reach the playoff and at least get one of the at-large bids.
Still got at LSU, as you said, and Georgia visiting in November. A lot of the rest breaks nicely. At Florida, Mississippi State's obviously struggling. Yeah. At Arkansas, Oklahoma at home. So, but
it's the first time that they don't play Alabama since 1991. So they got the big break there because there's no longer the divisional setup. But